Joe Biden is about to use his presidential authority and, in my opinion, his presidential coercion or intimidation to attack Donald Trump. And he's somewhat in his right to do this. He wouldn't have been inside of his right to do this if he was still currently running for president. Let that sink in for a second. The far left is completely trying to destroy Trump because they are very afraid of what he is standing for and is about to do with the backing of so many Americans. If you back Trump and you are voting for Trump, let me know down below. Just type Trump down in the comment section. This story comes out of Fox News. And I want you to understand before, and the title is Biden to push for constitutional amendment next week to reverse Trump immunity decision. Now, the money changers, along with the federal government at large, are very afraid because Trump is on the warpath against the Federal Reserve and the US dollar in the fact that recently he has stated that he has made a change in the way that he views cryptocurrencies, primarily Bitcoin, the need for the technology and the need for America to hold some in reserves. This is a direct attack against the US dollar, but in a good way. Trump understands things as a businessman that most politicians fail to understand because they're so busy trying to cover up the lies and the blackmail that others have on them because they've all done bad things. Type 1 if you agree with that. We're going to dive into the story, but I want to remind you we're doing a 24-hour sale on the Crypto Trader Pro course. If you've never owned Bitcoin, you want to learn how to buy it, hold it, secure it, and eventually invest and flip it and make money from this rally. And I want to state this for the record. This is very important. Let's say that Trump did not get in. I want this. This is going to piss people off, but I do believe he's going to win, actually, and I'm voting for him. And I don't care who knows that, okay? I'm not a fence sitter. I don't sit halfway and go, it's not about politics. No, it is. We need to make a stand against evil right now. But just by him speaking in all these rallies, and by and large, if you look in the comments section, people are typing Trump or hashtagging Trump in the live chat or the comments because they're planning on voting for Trump. Well, this is the majority of America. If you believe that the last election was stolen, type 3. If you believe with your own eyes that people were stuffing ballots using illegal immigrants to vote, type 3 if you agree with that. Well, the majority of America voted for Trump last time. They're going to vote for Trump this time. And now all they're hearing is Trump talking about all of this Bitcoin. So you know what people are doing right now? They're actually going and opening up exchange accounts. They're opening up new wallets on their cell phone, going down to ATMs. They're buying a little bit of Bitcoin, 10 or 20 bucks. You need to know how to protect yourself with that, and that's why we built that course. But this isn't to sell courses. My point being is this is just a fact, and you're about to see an absolute explosion in the adoption and use of cryptocurrency and the investing in cryptocurrency. So why wouldn't you want to learn about it and be a part of it? Like, what's that worth? So there's a 75% off link down below, and it's for Trump, all right? So here we go. This is out of Fox News. President Biden is set to propose several changes to the U.S. Constitution on Monday. Let me just reread that for a second. President Biden is set to propose several changes to the U.S. Constitution on Monday. Type 4 if this enrages you. I truly believe that the U.S. Constitution is an unbelievably perfect document in that it set forth by our founding fathers and those that founded our country a way of checks and balances, being the executive, the judicial, and the legislative branches, looking over each other to make sure that there is not a tyrannical segment of the government that gets too big and too powerful. And that is exactly what Joe Biden is setting out to do. Let's fire up the comments right now and piss off the YouTube algorithm and point blank say he wants to change the Constitution. A guy that can't hold himself up in public these days, a man that is full of gibberish. He wants to change an unbelievable document. and use his presidential authority. Do you remember when I said when he said, "Hey, I'm not going to run," I said, be prepared in the next 4 months. You are going to see some of the craziest stuff come out of the White House because he has the authority to do it, not worried about getting sued or stopped because he's attacking his political opponent. So now what's happening is the Democratic Party and the office of the president right now being completely weaponized to come against their threat. It's not their threat to democracy. It's not the threat to the republic. It's a threat to their way of life of being able to put a choker over human beings, men and women, by using blackmail, extortion, and things like that. Their system is rapidly falling. That's why they're also afraid of peace talks with Ukraine, because I'm sure part of the peace talks will be when Trump gets in, I want the servers brought back and delivered to the White House for the Democratic Party. This is a big deal. It says here that he's set to propose several changes on Monday to the U.S. Constitution to make good on his promise to reform the Supreme Court, according to a report. In a reversal from the president's longstanding resistance to changes to the High Court, Biden said on Wednesday that Supreme Court reform would be among his top priorities for the remainder of his term in office. Biden announced Sunday that he would not seek re-election after mounting pressure from Democratic Party officials who asked him to step aside after his wildly planned debate performance in June. Hey, real quick, if you don't mind, a shameless plug, if you don't mind getting your news from a normal guy, maybe it's just me, a dude with a brohawk and a dream, and that's a dream of making the middle class rich again and waking the American people up and people around the world, do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. Or if you want to keep hearing the news from some moron on CNN, cool. You could either hear from that moron or this moron. I'm sorry I digress, but you know, it's important where we get our news. It's really important. And I want to see the average man and woman take back the media. The president is expected to propose setting term limits for justices on the Supreme Court. Oh, look at that. Little retard doesn't, and I'm telling you what, this guy pisses me off. And when I use that word, I want to make sure you understand this. This is a person that is evil and has messed up morals and intentions on purpose because he is an immoral person. I can't even pronounce it. You guys know how I am. But I'm telling you what, this man needs to be stopped. There are a lot of people with really high IQs in this world. There are people with low IQs. I got to be honest with you, I'm one of them. But there's a difference between someone with low IQ and someone with the inability to be able to have critical thinking skills. And we need to call a spade a spade. And Joe Biden is an absolute joke of a president. He has made a mockery of the White House and the presidency itself. He is a puppet. And now he is on a terror to completely destroy the way our Constitution reads, the way our Supreme Court works, and how the next president will be picked based off of laws that will be changing. The president expected to propose setting term limits for the justices on the Supreme Court, which would require a constitutional amendment. Now, you notice that he's not trying to set up term limits for Congress members because people like Nancy Pelosi, he wants in power. He himself is one of the youngest ever people to be put into the government, one of the longest living people in the government. He doesn't want that changed. He wants to turn the Supreme Court around so that they can overturn specific rulings that they've done in the past that are against his political sides. It says here, Biden is also likely to voice support for a constitutional amendment that would limit immunity for presidents and certain other office holders after the court ruled in July that presidents cannot be prosecuted for official acts during their time in office. Now, I would like to remind you, and if you could sign up for my newsletter, because the things that I'm about to say, there are people that want me stopped and censored. But Joe Biden has a son that we have seen photos of, type 5 if you've seen heinous photos of his son doing heinous acts with young people and with drugs and doing all kinds of crazy things. And he wants to make sure that his family is secure. There's also all kinds of bribe money and things like that. This is absolutely insane to me. Or is it? You know, we know that there are hard times coming, and we know that times are hard now. Times are going to get really hard. If you're not preparing for hard times, if you're not looking to pay off some debt, not get into more debt, and then get ready for an unbelievable implosion in the economy, because trust me, there are people that have a plan to destroy the economy and to pick up the pieces where they will buy assets for pennies on the dollar, whether it be stocks, whether it be real estate. They want to buy up assets for pennies on the dollar. Sorry, my mind is spinning right now. There is so much happening right now that I absolutely cannot believe either the level of opportunity that's in front of us or the level of destruction that's coming to people that aren't paying attention to it. Now, the framers of the Constitution, it says, and this is again a Fox News story, intentionally made it difficult to amend. A 2/3 majority of both the House and the Senate needs to pass any proposed amendment, which is then sent to the states for ratification. It must be approved by 3/4, 38 out of the 50 states, to become the supreme law of the land. Now, I honestly believe that right now we are in a moment where he could actually get that majority, 38 of 50, because I see countries losing their minds around the world. I also see states in our country losing their minds. And then what's sad is, let's give example, California. California, I was born and raised there, just recently moved. By and large, are amazing people. But there's a couple of counties, primarily around the San Francisco Bay Area and Los Angeles, and they run the entire show because of the amount of votes they have, the amount of money, and so on. So we're seeing countries, states, and counties losing their minds. And I believe that he could actually get these votes. Now, he says here that this decision today has continued the court's attack in recent years on a wide range of long-established legal principles in our nation, from gutting voting rights and civil rights to taking away a woman's right to choose. It's funny because I haven't read this story. I never read a story before I read it to you, with you, and we talk about it. I knew it was going to be part of it about abortion. I completely cannot stand abortion. I want to save young babies' lives. That's my mission. Whether you agree with it or not, this is my opinion, this is my goal. To today's decision that undermines the rule of law of this nation, Biden said in public remarks after the court handed down his opinion. We all know that those weren't Biden's words because he could barely spell his own name. Politico reported that the specifics of the proposal have not yet been finalized and could still change. The White House did not immediately respond for a request for comment. Biden said Supreme Court reform is critical to our democracy in an Oval Office address Wednesday, explaining the decision to drop out of the 2024 election. Let me remind you of what he just said. Biden said Supreme Court reform is critical to our democracy. That is a lie. Type 10 if you agree with me. The reason why our founding fathers set up the judicial, executive, and legislative branches is so that each of them can watch the other two. And now he wants to change one of them so that his office, the executive office, has more power and authority. Look, they're already telling you right now that K-pop is winning in the polls. But when you go and look at the poll and who they're polling Democrats. So many people in our nation, we have to wake them up. Just believe anything they're told. It's time to wake up and act. It's time to get out of debt. It's time to make the middle class rich again. If you want to get prepared, Trump is screaming on the hilltops right now, on the rooftops, saying Bitcoin is a big answer. We have got to get on top of it, and people are diving in right now. Wallets are being created right now. We are seeing exchanges being created. What are you going to do? If you want, there's a discount link, the sales Trump Day, 24-hour sale, 75% off of the Crypto Trader Pro. Takes you from never owning a single Bitcoin all the way to buying it, storing it, then trading it if you want. The question is, when are you going to jump in? Are you going to jump in at 60 grand? You're going to jump in at 80 grand Bitcoin? You're going to jump in at 120 grand Bitcoin? I've been talking about Bitcoin ever since it was $3,000 when I rebought my bag, my HODL bag. And it's an absolute unbelievable deal. And I believe that the coming trade for Bitcoin into silver will be the trade of a century. I can't wait to do it with some of you guys. All right, with that being said, hope you have a great day. The Economic Ninja is out.